Hi, I'm John Schroeder, and welcome to our latest video in the Cayce Clips collection. Today I will do a quick overview explaining how we choose our families, talents, and conditions before being born into the earth this life. First, let me say that the Edgar Cayce reading suggests that the greater our spiritual development, the greater freedom we have in setting up our next incarnation into human form. If we think of our soul development as a spectrum, with Jesus at the highest end and Lucifer at the other, this concept is easier to understand. Cayce indicated that once we attain the Christ consciousness, there is no law that binds us. At the other end of that spectrum, we seem to do little else but reap what we have sown through suffering. With that spiritual development spectrum in mind, let me add an analogy of a school system curriculum. When a child enters grade school, they have little input on what they will learn and the order it is to be taught to them. This is where the law of attraction comes into play, drawing each soul naturally to its next incarnation that will aid in their greatest spiritual growth. As students enter junior high and high school, their participation evolves when it comes to choosing their courses. They are allowed to pick some of the courses and even adjust their schedules to meet their specific needs. The law of attraction is still in play, as always, but now, let's say, the soul sees perhaps a dozen lifetimes that they can choose from, instead of being guided to only one without anyone asking for their input. By the time we get to college, we can pick the courses, days, times, and even our teachers for the upcoming term. As I said, the higher our soul development goes, the greater the flexibility we have in choosing the variable conditions we'll have in our next life. It is easy to understand choosing our intelligence, physical appearance, or how talented we'll be in sports or the arts. Those things are uniquely ours to deal with. But how does it work when choosing your parents, or how the parents at a higher level choose their kids? Now we've added the free will choices of a second, third, or many souls depending on how many members there are in the family. Cayce suggests that the law of karma and the law of attraction work in much the same way between people as they do for conditions and events. Depending on our level of spiritual development, we can make agreements with others regarding how we will help or challenge each other while in human bodies on the earth. Each person and situation we encounter is intended to help us grow spiritually. It is up to us to make the right choices when challenged throughout our lives. The bottom line, we really do choose our parents and family, and they choose us. The next part of this gets a little heavy. This is the question of where do we go when we're in spirit form between earthly lives. The Cayce reading suggests that there are 8 dimensions in this solar system, and that planets revolving around the sun are actually 3-dimensional representations of those different dimensions we souls inhabit when not on the earth. Because each planet is a different dimension, vibrating at different frequencies than our 3 dimensions here on Earth, we would not see life on other planets if we landed there, say, on a spaceship. A good way to understand this is the following analogy. Say you have several TVs in front of you, each playing a different program. All those programs exist as frequencies simultaneously in the room, but we can choose to focus on one of them to the exclusion of the others. The other dimensions, or TVs, are still there, but we can ignore them just the same as we can ignore the other dimensions outside of the 3 we live in now. Also, the planets, or dimensions, somewhat approximate the old Greek and Roman myths. For instance, if we have lessons to learn about love or jealousy, we would spend time in the dimension of Venus. If we have trouble with aggressive or warlike behavior, Mars is the planet where we would learn those lessons. So it seems the early creators of Greek mythology were somehow intuitively tuning in to our actual life between lives all those centuries ago. When discussing these concepts, a question often comes up about the Earth. What is so unique about this planet or dimension that it would attract billions of souls here to find their way back to God, much like the story of the prodigal son? Cayce suggests that the Earth is an excellent place to apply what we have learned in those other dimensions. The 3 dimensions separation of time and space allows us to better see how cause and effect works. If we want friends, we quickly learn we must be friendly. If we desire to be loved, we must love others. It really is that simple, but with an infinite complexity in how that plays out in each of our lives. A final note here has to do with measuring our level of soul development. A more practical way of analyzing that question goes like this. If we have greater flexibility with greater soul development, then how is that development measured? The Cayce readings say that our best measurement of soul development is patience. The more patient we are, the closer we are to God. That may well tell us why Cayce said that the three dimensions of earth are time, space, and patience. That's it for how we choose our families on Cayce Clips. We had a request for the next video's topic. That is, to discuss Jesus' supposed moment of doubt on the cross when he said, my God, hath thou forsaken me?" So until next time, remember that God loves you with an everlasting love. We will all eventually become one with our Creator because how long can we resist the unconditional love of our Maker?